The Attorney-General George Brandis has defended his decision to restrict access to the Solicitor-General's office, arguing he's merely tried to fix a lazy practice in the government. Both Senator Brandis and the Solicitor-General, Justin Gleeson, have appeared before a Senate inquiry in Canberra, where Senator Brandis has described the entire public feud as stemming from a confected controversy. Political reporter Matthew Doran has more from Canberra.
It all stems from a practice direction, a legal services direction, which was made in May this year, which forced all requests for the Solicitor-General's expert legal advice to first be consented to by the Attorney-General's office. Now, this is something, as the Attorney-General George Brandis says, is merely a formality. He said that there had been a lazy practice that developed within the government and within the public service of people approaching the Solicitor-General in the first instance for his advice. And that was, in effect, this legal direction helps to sort of triage some of these matters that are coming before the Solicitor-General to ensure that he is only dealing with matters of the utmost importance. Now, it is something that the Solicitor-General has railed against. He says that there should be the ability for members of the government and the public service to come to him for free and frank advice that he is able to provide, and that his office as Solicitor-General has been able to provide for the many decades in which it has been in existence as the second highest law officer in the land behind the Attorney-General. And after this, when this direction was issued back in May, the Solicitor-General Justin Gleeson says that was the first he'd heard of the matter since a meeting between the Attorney-General and himself back in November, where the matter was raised, but he had no more detail as to exactly how this direction would play out. Now, here's some of what Justin Gleeson had to say to the Commission earlier today.
And I said to them, how on earth could it have been that in the period leading up to the 4th of May, you must have known about this direction, you were helping draft it, the Parliamentary Council knew about it, the Attorney knew about it, his staff knew about it. How on earth could it have been that the one person who needed to know wasn't told?
So, Matthew, is it fair to say that the Attorney-General's come out fighting with his response?
That is a very fair assessment there, Catherine. He hasn't been backwards in coming forward with his very strident defence of his actions there. As I mentioned, he says that this is a mere formality, that his office can act as something of a gatekeeper when it comes to people approaching the Solicitor-General for advice. And he's, in fact, expressed quite a bit of surprise that this has become such a public and bitter feud, saying it stems from a confected controversy, and all of this could have been solved merely by the Solicitor-General picking up the phone after this direction was issued and discussing the matter with him, rather than turning it into this very public Senate inquiry, which was, of course, launched after the federal opposition seized upon these concerns from Justin Gleeson. Now, when it comes to this whole matter of consultation, which really is at the heart of this debate, the Attorney-General says he did consult. He did consult in this practice direction. He went as far as the legislation that binds consultation when making any sort of laws requires him to, in that he raised the issue, regardless of the fact that the final makeup of this legal services direction wasn't raised with the Solicitor-General. He's done all that he has to do, and here's his explanation of that.
It does not require a person who is consulted to be specifically aware of any precise intention or lack of intention that a rulemaker may have. Under Section 17, it is enough, indeed it is more than enough, that a rulemaker be satisfied that there has been appropriate consultation about the subject matter of a legislative instrument. That is what occurred in this case.
The discussion now really has gone into the semantics of this whole debate. We've had the Attorney-General tabling the Oxford Dictionary definition of to consult, saying that there isn't a way of interpreting consult in any other way legally and in the more common spoken language, and that he has done everything that's possible, and that this really isn't a matter that he would have assumed would cause this much debate.
Now, Matthew, before we let you go, Labor, they're renewing their call for Senator Brandis to stand down.
That's right. It's a call that the Shadow Attorney-General Mark Dreyfus has been putting out there for some weeks now. He maintains that Senator Brandis misled Parliament when he claimed that he had adequately consulted with the Solicitor-General. That is something that obviously we have heard this morning the Solicitor-General has disputed. Shadow Attorney-General Mark Dreyfus held a press conference here in Parliament House, again reissuing those calls for Brandis to resign. However, we heard from the Prime Minister earlier today that he still has full confidence in his Attorney-General.